going to talk about what sex, Tantra, and your business have in common. And for starters, let's talk about 6-figure months. Yeah, you heard me right, 6-figure months. I have used this exact sexual transmutation process that I'm going to teach you in this video to generate 6-figure months in mine and my partner's business and to wildly change our life in less than a year. You guys heard it here first. It gets to be easy, it gets to be fun, and I'm going to give you the exact framework where you get to do it yourself and know you do not need a partner. So what are we going to go through exactly in this video? First of all, we're going to talk about what sexuality or sexual energy actually is. Number 2, we're going to talk about transmutation, what it is and how to do it. Of course, I'm going to give you a very simple, easy to follow 4-step process so you guys can actually do this tonight in the comfort of your own home. And again, you do not need a partner to be able to practice sexual transmutation. And because you guys know I love to over deliver and give you guys everything that I have, if you follow all the way to the end, I have some additional tips and tricks to make sure that this is a 100% successful process for you. And I want to give you a little bit of a caveat here. Now, as you guys know, I follow both the new and ancient texts when it comes to anything that I teach you guys. And what I found really unique about sexual transmutation in particular is that the ancient texts have a lot of really important ways and extra steps that are not included in what I have found in the modern principles. So when I Googled and started to do some research for this video, whether the information was on Mind Body Green or from Aaron Dowdy or whoever the case might be, it was actually, in my opinion, rather incomplete. And so I'm a little bit biased, but I actually did a ton of research online, and I found that there was at least 2 key principles that we're going to go through in that 4-step process that are super, super vital, not only to a successful sexual transmutation experience, but one that actually is not dangerous. Because guys, sexual energy is super, super potent. And if you don't know what you're doing with it, it can create a little bit of havoc in your life energetically. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you all of the new age modern stuff that is also grounded in like thousands and thousands of years of successful practice through ancient tantric and hermetic and alchemical texts. So you guys are going to get, as always, a fusion of both with me today, and it's super important that you watch all the way to the end because I want you to do this right, and I want you to do it successfully, and I want it to be a positive experience for you. So please do yourselves a favor and me a favor so that I can hear all of your amazing success stories by making sure that you watch this all the way to the end. As a hint, you can speed up the video if that makes it easier for you if you're on a bit of a time crunch. Okay. Now, before we dive right into it too, I just want to remind you guys we're on YouTube. So if you can do me and this community a favor and make sure that you subscribe to get more content just like this, where we're talking about fusing sexuality into your business for unlimited potential growth. We want to make sure you subscribe. Please like this video. I love hearing your stories and your comments, so please share them down below. If you have questions, I love answering them. So again, put those down below. And if you think that there's someone that could benefit from this teaching, please feel free to share this content so that we can get this energy out into the world, because no one's really fully talking about this and it's super transformative. So I want to make sure that you get it every single week and that the rest of the world gets to benefit from these teachings. And I also want to let you know really quickly that, guys, I am finally, you've all been begging me for this. You've been begging me for a group container. I know so many of you want to work one-on-one with me, and I just don't have enough slots to accommodate all of the people that have been inquiring over the last couple of months. And so due to popular demand, we have now birthed through Sexual Transmutation my very first ever group program. And as of the posting of this video, it has just gone live. The cart has just opened. So if you were watching this on the day it was posted or within about 3 weeks, the cart is still open and you can still check it out. That group program is called the Sexual Empowerment Academy. And it is, if you think this is cool, we are going to spend 6 weeks diving into building your sexual vision, your vision for your life, releasing any shame, guilt, sexual trauma, religious programming that might be getting in the way of you actually creating that dream life. And then we're going to spend the back half in fun, in play, in desire, and in sex magic and sexual transmutation practices. It is going to be everything in this video, but 6 weeks of holding you through it in an accountability container to make sure that you rapidly transform your life on the other side. It's basically the best hits, the greatest hits of everything that I've done in my life to change my life from moldy friend's basement to a 3,000 square foot condo in Tulum in less than a year, and what I use with all of my high ticket one-on-one clients. All of the greatest hits, all of the best practices in a 6-week container, and we even have tons of guest speakers coming in, gifts, breathwork, workshops, the whole 9 yards. So guys, this is like truly been a birthing process of my heart and soul into a group program for you. And if you are loving this sexuality content, then please check it out down below, stephaniej.com/sexual empowerment academy. And you of course can always ask me questions. Okay, so let's get into the good stuff, shall we? What is sexual transmutation? What actually even is this? Let's talk about what sexual energy is first. It is not just penis and vagina, it is not just penetration, it is not just any of those things. We have really minimized in our 3D reality the sacredness that is sexuality. I like to call it sex, sacred energy exchange. Right? Sacred energy exchange, sex, S-E-X. And that really is only scratching at the surface of the potent power that sexual energy represents. Like guys, this is literally the energy that lands souls on the planet, that literally transmutes something from like nothing in the ether into a physical human being that will then change the world. Like it's literally the most powerful energy that you can have access to on this earth as a 3D being in a human body. So it's powerful, powerful stuff. It is your creative life force energy, right? It lives in your sacral chakra. So it has impacts on your creativity, on your ability to manifest money, your ability to have fun, your ability to play. So not only does it land souls on the planet, and not only can it be harnessed to create more abundance in your life, but it also is what makes you have a fun life in general. Now that's the new age side of looking at it, right? If we're looking at all the new age principles, but if we go back even into the tantric texts, like right now we see Tantra as like neo-spirituality, right? Or neo-sexuality. But in truth, the reason Tantra used sexual energy is because they recognize that when harnessed correctly, it is super powerful as a tool for spiritual awakening, as a tool for like environmental awakening, environmental change. So they created a ton of different practices, sexual transmutation being one of them, which we're going to talk about today on how to do it, to help you use and harness that energy instead of just wasting it on something like masturbation or not knowing what to do with it and having it get all bunged up in your sacral, and then you're angry and over emotional and you don't know why. We're teaching you what to do with it when you have a lot of sexual energy, and that's what the tantrics were doing, and that's why they're known for being so involved with spiritualized sexuality. Not because they were all about sex, but because they were a spiritual science that was really deeply involved in using sexual energy as one of the tools towards enlightenment. So that's how powerful it is, you guys, that we have ancient, like tens of thousands of year old religions and belief systems that were using it as a path to enlightenment. Now, even if we look at, for example, Hermetics, they call it Eros, erotic life force energy. This is talking more about your evolution towards source. It is literally the energy that helps you evolve from a tiny little being, like a little fetus, let's say, up into evolving into your highest expression. It lives in every single being around the world in this 3D realm, and its main driver is procreation, creation, and evolution. Because procreation and creation are necessary ingredients for a being or an organism or a species to evolve. And Eros is the energy of evolution. So as you guys can see here, sexual energy is potent as fuck. And in fact, it's so strong and so transformative that we often see a lot of cultures and religions demonizing and vilifying it because they don't want humans to have this kind of power. That is my honest belief. Or they just didn't know how to tell people what to do with it. And so it was easier to just tell everybody, don't touch that thing, than to try and teach them how to do it properly. And that's why we've kind of landed in this like energy of today where we're told we're not allowed to want sex, but then it's used to sell us stuff all the time. Anyways, that's a whole other video. We're not going down that rabbit hole today. If you're curious about that, drop me a comment down below and we can record on my belief system around that at another time. Okay, sexual energy, we got it down. You guys understand what sexual energy is now. If you have questions, of course, again, you know where to put them. I will always answer them for you. Let's move into transmutation. What does transmutation actually mean? The literal definition of transmutation is simply to change from one energy to another. Okay, so like let's think of a wave crashing on the shore. Okay, on the shore. A wave is energy, right? It's moving. When it hits the shore, it doesn't disappear. It gets transmitted into light as it turns into those air ripples. It gets transmitted into sound, and it gets transmuted back underneath, and some of it stays as a water energy. So we see this concept of transmutation everywhere, all over the universe, right? Any energy that is moving, even when you're eating food, you eat food and your body transmutes it into energy. So it's a very natural process. In the Tantric texts, they called it sublimation when we were dealing with sexual energy specifically. So to sublimate, to pull up, which is actually a more direct and more correct use of the word. Sexual transmutation, actually what we're doing is we're sublimating it, because we are alchemizing it. We are making it greater. We are using it to create something higher. And that's what you will see in the ancient alchemical texts as well, is this concept of changing lead into gold, right? So we're always moving up. We're always moving, again, using arrows, we're always moving up into evolution. So we're not just like moving sideways or down. The principles of this practice are to always move up into your evolutionary highest expression, highest timeline. Okay, cool. So as you can see, this is a really, really powerful technology. If you're using literally a very natural process of improving an energy into something even greater, and we're starting with the most powerful energy on the entire planet, I think you guys can see how this shit can really change your life. I hope you can see that by now. So let's talk about 4 steps. We're gonna go through a 4-step system so you can actually do this process for you tonight. And as a reminder, you guys, these 4 steps, at least 2 of them, do not exist in any other online source that I have found. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I did a search today and I couldn't find at least 2 of these steps in anyone else online talking about it. So really important, get your pen and paper. We for sure want to write this stuff down. Okay. So a mentor of mine, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I actually just returned from one of his retreats. He's a fabulous, fabulous man. His principle, his new age scientific principle for quantum manifestation, quantum programming, creating your own reality, is to take the process of a elevated emotion, right? Elevated emotion over here. And we're gonna combine that with a clear intention. So we're going to take that same process that he has scientifically proven to be effective, and we're going to layer on the ancient sexual transmutation practices on top of it, sprinkle in some sexual energy, and poof, magic, right? 6-figure month magic. It's amazing. So step number 1, shouldn't be surprised, we're going to generate some sexual energy. Now, how you do this doesn't really matter so much. You can be with a partner. If you're with a partner or with a group, please obviously tell them that you're doing this, because otherwise they might be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So make sure that you're communicating with your partners. If you're by yourself, totally cool. This practice can absolutely be done by yourself. I will encourage you though, if you are doing a solo self-pleasure practice, I'm gonna put a link down below for my video on the differences between self-pleasure and masturbation. This is not meant to be a masturbation-based practice. This is a self-pleasure based practice. So if you're unclear on the difference and you're doing this practice by yourself, definitely check that video. I'll link it down below for you, okay? Amazing. So generate some sexual energy. You can do this in a whole variety of ways, whatever feels good for you. Obviously, the key signs that you're going to be looking for to tell you that step 1 is quote unquote complete is an engorgement of the sex center, so extra blood, extra sensitivity, but we don't just want to see engorgement in that area. We actually want to see some sexual energy moving through the rest of the body. So you should see, a lot of people will see like either feel warmth or see redness on their chest. They might see an enhanced sensitivity on their body, tingling in their fingers, tingling on their face. So we really want to make sure that it's not a localized energy. Yes, it's going to start in that center, but we really want to focus on allowing the energy to move through the entire body, especially through up into the abdomen. Now, I will say a couple of things here. I do not recommend using visual stimulus to generate any type of sexual arousal for this practice specifically. So that can be like images, that could be like OnlyFans, that could be Pornhub, anything like that. The reason for that is because there is a visualization practice in sexual transmutation. That's how you create your future. And so if you were looking at porn, let's say, while you are doing this practice, then guess what's in your brain while you're trying to create your future? Porn. So I'm assuming, I'm just gonna guess that that's probably not the future you want to create. So what we wanna make sure we're doing is we're generating this arousal based on internal arousal. If you wanna use visions within your mind, that's okay, but you really wanna be focused on an internal practice if you're doing a solo practice. If you are with a partner, then obviously leaning into a nice, slow, and intentional, conscious practice with your partner is going to yield the best results. Okay, step number 1, generate arousal, check. Step number 2, and this is one of those steps that I didn't see anywhere else online, you need to open your heart. You need to open your heart. Now, everybody's gonna say, why? Why is that important? Well, because again, we're using an elevated emotion. Remember, sexual energy is an energy. It's not an elevated emotion. It is not a feeling, it's an energy. So we want to couple sexual energy with the elevated emotion and the clear intention. So we need to generate that emotion. Now, the other thing, if you look at even from a physiological perspective, what we're eventually going to be doing, sublimation, moving from low to high, is we're essentially pulling your sexual energy from your sex center, we're generating it, and then we're pulling it up into the ether. We're sublimating it up, we're moving it up. And in order to do that, it's going to have to go through the heart. So guess what? If your heart is closed, if it's locked down, if it's, you know, if you're kind of shouldering like this, it ain't gonna work. Quite frankly, it's just not going to work. So you need to open your heart. What does this mean? What does this look like? What I'm inviting you to do is, once you feel like you've got a lot of good erotic energy moving, you've got a lot of arousal in the body, take a couple of moments to breathe specifically into your chest as step number 2, specifically into the chest. Really focusing on your heart, and you can visualize whatever color resonates for you, either like a pink or a green shimmery light coming into the heart, and with every breath, your heart is just getting a little bit bigger. And you can even generate some feelings of gratitude or an image that makes you really happy, and allowing that to really help the heart expand, really bring that gratitude. And you'll know that this piece is complete because all of a sudden you won't be able to stop smiling, and you'll feel this like wash of like divine love, gratitude, and calmness. It's a little bit different for everybody, but that should be a good marker for you. Will wash over your entire body. Now, I will say, I think the reason most people skip this step is because in the practice of moving from your arousal into your heart center, sometimes we can lose our arousal. That means you can lose an erection. That means you can lose engorgement in the genitals in the sex center. And that's okay, guys. This is a fun process. So if you're noticing when you focus on your heart that you're starting to lose your arousal, that is totally fine. Just flip back to your sex center and start generating arousal again. And most people are going to end up flipping back and forth a little bit at a time until you're able to hold the energy in both. Once both are locked in, you're going to naturally start to feel that energy bubble up through your center channel, from your sex center all the way up through your heart. It's almost like it gets magnetized up. As soon as this is open, it's like a vacuum, and it's going to start sucking it up. And that's where things get really, really, really fun. So step number 3, your clear intention or your visualization. So this is where we want to get really specific about what it is that you're creating. We want to hold it in your mind. The longer you can hold it and the more detail you can hold it with, the more effective it will be. So if you're generating, let's say a 6-figure business or 6-figure month, what are you going to use that money for? Are you going to go on vacation? Are you going to donate it? What's the purpose? Is it going to create freedom? Are you going to bring your husband or your wife home from work? Are you going to buy something nice for your parents who have taken care, like whatever the thing is, education for your kids? It doesn't matter. What is that money going to go towards? What is the purpose of that money? You want to focus on that. Focus on the feeling that's going to be generated when you have that thing, when you have that actual tangible result from the money. So whatever it is that you're trying to create, whether it's money, whether it's abundance, whether it's freedom, whether it's health, whether it's a relationship, it doesn't matter, guys. This works for everything. But you want to make sure that you're focusing on having a really clear vision and then generating the feeling of what it will be to have that. And the more deep you can go on this, the better. If you can see it, smell it, taste it, feel it, hear it, get all of your senses involved while you're holding that arousal and that open heart. And as soon as that clicks again, you're going to end up feeling it's like a vacuum. The energy will go whoop, up and out. It will happen so naturally so that you become this column of energy. And then you just want to allow yourself to sit in that space, holding your vision as long as you can, with your sex, heart, and third eye fully aligned with your vision, so that your sexual energy is connecting with your elevated emotion and your clear intention and projecting that into the universe for it to quantum program reality for you. Okay, so that's step number 3. And now step number 4 is release. And this is another one that I don't see talked about that often. It is a little bit at a high level, but I want to talk about how to do it properly. Now, everybody thinks of release means ejaculation or a clitoral orgasm, and that is super important that we do not do that. in this practice. Why? Because what you're doing when you take that, let's say an ejaculation, is you're literally taking all of that sexual energy that we've built, and instead of having one final push upwards through the body into the quantum field, you're actually releasing it in the form of sperm outside of the body. It's what we call an explosive or an external orgasm in tantric teachings. We don't want it to go outside. We want it to stay inside. We want it to go up through our center and into the universe. The same thing happens when we have a clitoral orgasm. If you are a female-bodied individual, it is going to go out external, and we want to pull it in. Okay, we want everything to come inside. So for male-bodied individuals, you are going to want to experience, in an ideal state, a full-body orgasm that does not include ejaculation. Now, I know this can be a challenge. There's lots of resources online from actual male-bodied practitioners teaching you how to do this. So I encourage you to do a search if you're not sure how. If you'd like me to do a teaching on it, let me know in the comments down below. I'm happy to. I just feel like I don't have those parts, and sometimes it's better to learn those things from somebody that does have those parts. But I'm certainly happy to teach it. So if you want to hear that from me, again, let me know in the comments and I'll put together a video for that. For female-bodied individuals, you are looking for either a G-spot or a clitoral orgasm as your orgasm of choice. Those are both internal, and they will help you to pull the energy up. Now, when you are in that energy of release, it is super important, whether it is a full body orgasm, full body or cervical, or a G-spot orgasm, that again, we're holding that vision and we're actually visualizing that last bit of energy pulling up. And for women, if you're having a cervical orgasm, you should actually be able to feel your cervix contracting in your body. And you want to almost visualize like every contraction is pulling up, higher and higher into the stratosphere, into the quantum field. So it's programming it for you. Now, if these are not accessible for you, if these types of orgasms are not yet accessible for you, what I encourage you to do is, once you get to the point where you know you're almost at a point of no return, cool the body down and close the practice in another way. Do not risk a clitoral or an ejaculation-based orgasm, because you are going to lose a lot of the oomph that you've just spent so much time in this beautiful ceremony and this beautiful ritual creating. So it's not worth it. Promise you, it's not worth it. Take the time to cool off. Lay with your partner, lay with yourself, hand on heart, hand on sex, and just breathe into it and allow the energy to kind of just feel like it's pulling up, even without orgasm, even without any stimulation, and just allow it to dissipate on its own. When you feel that you've come to a good resting place, you can say, "Thank you, universe, it is so." And just sit in gratitude for a little while. That's a great way to close this practice if you're not sure or don't feel confident in your ability to generate a very specific type of orgasm when you're first starting out. Okay, so to summarize, 4-step process, we have number 1, generate arousal. Have some fun, generate some arousal. Number 2, we are going to open our heart. Super important, open your heart. Number 3, connect with your vision, create that clear intention. And then number 4, have some type of release or closure that involves your intention and that does not allow the energy to escape your body. Now, for those of you that have watched all the way to this point, as I promised, as always, I actually have some extra tips from my own personal experience that have made this even more effective than what we've learned from the neo-spiritual and scientific communities and from the ancient texts. The first one is, guys, you've got to have fun. Please, 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 please do yourself a favor and make this fun. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be an enjoyable experience for you by yourself, with a partner, or with a group. It is not meant to be work. And we see this all the time where sexual energy just doesn't work if it's a chore, right? Even when we're talking about fertility and like creating life, as soon as it becomes a chore, frequently that's where we start seeing infertility issues. So starting to pop up in an energetic body. So don't allow this to turn into work. Don't allow this to turn into stress. Don't allow yourself to think, oh my gosh, something went wrong, or it has to be perfect, or the smells have to be perfect, and the lights have to be perfect, and if there isn't exactly this number of rose petals on the bed, then it's not going to work. All of that is false. Yes, having a beautiful environment is super, super helpful. I will not negate that. However, I do want to make sure that you are not allowing that to control whether or not this practice is successful for you. So fun over everything else, okay? If you're doing it on the kitchen table, I don't really care. You can do it anywhere. It doesn't have to be this big thing. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. But most important is it has to be fun for you and for everybody involved. So don't make it too serious, okay? I see that a lot of times with my clients. Fun, 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 fun. So, so, so important. Number 2, allow yourself to ride the wave. I know in sex, so often we get really caught up in it being a goal-oriented experience and we almost want to rush to orgasm. The longer you can be in this energy, the longer you can be connecting sex to heart to third eye, the longer you can be really building that energy and allowing yourself to ride the wave, the more powerful and the faster this is going to work. So it's super important that you do not rush. Give yourself time. Now, obviously, if you only have a certain amount of time, like that doesn't mean don't do it. But if you can really carve out time to do this over, an hour-long practice, it's going to be way more powerful. And allowing yourself to allow the arousal to rise and fall and rise and fall, and allowing yourself to practice an edging experience is going to ensure that this is a much more effective, much faster experience of manifestation for you. So really allow yourself to ride the wave, allow yourself to be in the energy for as long as you possibly can before you end up going a step forward and doing a full release. And the last one is, guys, repeat often and with confidence. So this is one difference that we see sometimes in the manifestation world. We tell you to do it once and, do your manifestation principle once and then forget it, release it, and don't do it again, because we don't want to be sending that needy energy into the universe. And that is true, even for sexual energy practices, which is why I say make sure that you're doing it with confidence. We're doing this practice again, over and over again, not because we're worried that it didn't work the first time, but because we enjoyed it so much. We enjoy creating our future so much that we just can't wait to do it again. Maybe we have more detail, maybe we have more clarity this time, maybe our orders changed a little bit. So allow yourself to do this as often as feels good for you. There is no limit to this practice. You can do it every day if you want to, or you can do it once a month or whatever feels good for you. But the more often you practice it, the more natural it's going to become, the more easy it's going to become, and the more powerful it is going to become for you. And in addition, it's like you're constantly just throwing up revisions of your request into the universe, and that energetically is going to pull it down faster. So just to summarize those 3 tips for you again: have fun, ride the wave, and repeat often and with confidence. Well, guys, that is the conclusion of my teaching for you guys today. If you loved this practice, I just want to remind you one more time that this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we'll be covering in my 6-week course, the Sexual Empowerment Academy, or the SEA for short. This is such a labor of love for me, and it is literally going to change your life. If you can imagine how powerful this one practice is, imagine 6 weeks of workshops, live teaching, and live Q&As with me and guest speakers, where you are literally being held through every step of the process of creating your dream reality. It's all of my greatest hits, all of my best tips and practices from my own life, from all of the different ancient texts that I follow, and from all of my one-on-one programs that I have done up until this date, all in one highly accessible, highly affordable program. So you definitely want to check it out. Again, stephaniej.com/Sexual Empowerment Academy. Links are in the description below. If you're not ready for that, if that's feeling like it's just a little too much, that's totally okay. Everybody's on their own personal journey, but I ask you again to please do yourself and humanity a favor by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video so that we can really create a vortex where more people are finding this super potent, life-changing information. Okay. And again, as a reminder, every single video drops at 10 a.m. Pacific on Sundays, and I am always live for at least 30 minutes when the video drops to answer any questions live. So if you're around when the video goes live every single Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, you will get to engage with me live. I will ask questions, answer your questions right away, and we get to create this beautiful buzzing community. So I hope this was helpful. As always, let me know how this is showing up in your life. If you try it, I would love to know how it goes. If you have questions, again, as always, drop in the comments. And I will see you next week, where we are going to dive into using masculine and feminine tantric principles to create more balance and more ease in your business and your life. So I'll see you guys next week. I love you so much. Bye.